The why is the nuance. The nuance is the seasoning on the top. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's StepsBasic, and welcome back to my community show. So, nice. Today, one second. Why is this so askew? All right. So today, announcements for today. Black Mesa. If it's 13 hours long, then I'm almost done with it. I got 5 hours left. 6 hours left. I can math. This week was kiddo week, so I've been a bit distracted, as you can probably tell, with the upload schedule. It's not been as good as it should be, and yeah. But I did manage to get most of the videos out that I wanted to. Next week, after today, I should say, I'm going to focus my efforts a bit better on getting a backlog, because I have something else coming up. I mean, next Thursday I have a doctor's appointment, hopefully, and August 8th I have jury duty. Go figure. I mean, they sent me a note beforehand asking, hey, do you guys got any of reasons why we shouldn't pick you as jury duty? And I listed all my reasons, specifically, single dad, parent to a tiny child, and they picked me anyway. I don't think I'm going to make it, though. You don't see it so much in these videos, but I got a pretty bad stutter. And it gets worse when I'm under stress. Actually, I wouldn't say I've got a pretty bad stutter. I know when it happens, it's bad, but it doesn't happen as often. So it's not like a always thing, which is good. But anyway, that's enough about that. Yeah, that's all the announcements. I don't have any more announcements. I don't think so, anyway. Nothing's really changed. I've been working through Black Mesa, enjoying the heck out of it, and looking forward to playing the next one, as well as BioShock 2 and Doom Eternal and The Last of Us 2 when they come out. But, well, when I have the money to get it, I should say. But anyway, that's all the announcements for today. On to the topic for today. Nuance. Now, I did the discussion last week about opinions, and there were a few things I missed out on the discussion. Specifically, it's okay to have opinions and not share them. It's okay to not agree with everybody, and it's always important to remember the important thing. Just because somebody likes something that you don't like doesn't mean that they're a bad person, etc. And that brings us, of course, to nuance. Nuance is basically just the subtle differences between opinions, i.e., I like this game. I like this game. I like this game more. Why? The why is the nuance. The nuance is the seasoning on the top. And I am weird because I like to know why I like things and why I don't like things. It's a strange little quirk of mine. I discussed it previously, but it's like, take for example, I'm a big Final Fantasy fan. I don't like to call myself a fan of anything because fans are toxic inherently, as I'm seeing more often than not lately. Are all fans toxic? No, but fandoms tend to be, and I am not really a big fan of fandoms, as it were, anymore. But Final Fantasy has always been my favorite series, like all of them. There are a few in there that I don't like, specifically the Lightning series. I was okay with the base game, Final Fantasy 13. Yeah, 13. Final Fantasy 13. I was okay with it. It was not the best, but it still had a bit of a Final Fantasy feel to it. And then everything that came after that I didn't like. So we'll use that game as a perfect example of why. Actually, you know what? Let's go back to 12. 12 is when I feel like Final Fantasy started to shift its attention away from itself. Final Fantasy 1 through 10, amazing games. 11, online. 12 was you control one character and run around, and everyone else runs around too. I didn't hate 12. It just didn't feel Final Fantasy. It felt, I don't know. It's kind of weird to explain it, but using 12, which I liked, just not as much, and 13, which I liked it, but at the same time, it was, in my opinion, the death of Final Fantasy. And honestly, when it comes to big series like that sort of happens, you know. You get to the end of the series, and that's when things start to peter out, and people don't know what to do with it anymore. And with Final Fantasy, every single episode, every single installment is, let's save the world. And so you get to the end of it, and you're like, I've saved the world 13 times now, so should I keep going? So looking at Final Fantasy 7 as the gold standard. 7 remake, pretty awesome. But 7 is the gold standard. I like that game. That is still my favorite game ever. And as much as I enjoyed 7 remake, it didn't take its place. It didn't replace Final Fantasy 7 as my favorite. So, what about 7 makes it better than 13? Well, I mean, for one thing, while 13 tried to go back to the root of turn-based combat, because apparently nobody liked 12 because of the whole running around thing, even though 15 and 7 remake use that. I didn't care. The turn-based combat is, in my opinion, what makes an RPG. In my opinion, of course. I like Western RPGs. When I play a Western RPG, I expect the first-person view, slashing and leveling up that way. That's what I expect when I play a Western RPG. When I play a JRPG, I expect turn-based combat. I expect, the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle, But that doesn't mean that I don't like the aspects between the two. But when it comes to when I'm playing something and I expect something, I want that thing. It doesn't necessarily count the game out for me. Therefore, 12, I didn't not like it, or I didn't like it as much, but not because of the fact that it wasn't turn-based combat. So boiling it back, if it wasn't the turn-based combat, maybe it was the story. Final Fantasy, I don't even remember Final Fantasy 12's story, honestly. I remember 13's because I thought it was off, and it was all about Spira and turning into crystals, and maybe I don't actually remember 13. And that therein lies a good reason for why I wouldn't like it. If I can't remember the story, then why am I going to like it? But yeah, with the exception of 11 and 14 and the games I can't play, or I haven't played yet, I know the storylines of each of the Final Fantasies, except for 12 and 13, because getting towards the end, it's just like I don't really care about them anymore. I don't care about those two. Now 15 came back around, and again, it wasn't turn-based combat, but I still really liked the game because of the story. Additionally, the characters played a huge part. In 12, I liked 1 or 2 of the characters. In 13, I liked only 1 character. Well, maybe 12, I liked more than 1 or 2, but in 13, I only liked 1 of the characters. Everybody else was annoying or over the top or campy, and the only person I liked was Lightning. So maybe it was just because I'm getting old and I don't like that. 15, on the other hand, rolls around and you get your various characters, your squad, You get to know them throughout the battle. You get to know them throughout the game, and that's kind of the point of the story. While, yes, it is ultimately a get the king to the throne and avenge the death of the previous king, it still is a coming-of-age story for the prince and how he learns about the world around him. And that's a pretty good story. I've always liked stories like that. See what I mean about nuance, though? You can't just say, I don't like something. And moreover, you cannot just blame or brand somebody as a bad person for not liking something. let's use a more recent example, a better example of what has been transpiring in the media lately and has thoroughly annoyed the heck out of me. Captain Marvel. I have always been a big fan of Captain Marvel, the character. And that's a weird thing to say, apparently. I thought that Captain Marvel was a fairly important character and everyone loved her. But no, apparently not. Apparently she was actually not a very popular character. And it took me a little while to realize why people might not like Captain Marvel as a character. And one of the things is, if you're looking at it like right around the time when it came out, was you had a lot of Earth-based stuff, and then you had Captain Marvel not being Earth-based, and it's like, oh, so, weird. Maybe people just don't like aliens. Or they just couldn't relate to the aliens. But none of that really matters, because back in my day, it was somewhat okay to get away with not liking or liking something. And I watched Captain Marvel, despite all the, despite everything that was going on around it, because quite frankly, I hate that sort of stuff. And I try my best to ignore that sort of stuff, where they just accuse somebody of not liking ladies or something like that because they don't like a movie with a lady lead. And I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. It wasn't spectacular. It was a fun little action movie. That's about all I saw about it. Looking at it canonically, I wasn't a fan because it kind of deviated from canon. Captain Marvel was exactly what I would expect of Captain Marvel. However, as a superhero origin story, there were some issues. Specifically, the arc. She didn't grow as a character. She started out strong and finished strong. I mean, in the very beginning of the movie, we saw that she had the power to destroy a starship on accident. Now, that would play into it if maybe she was afraid of her power, or she was, hurt somebody she cared about with her power, because then that would be an issue. That would be something that she could grow from. But no, it all worked out, and I didn't like that because, especially in an origin story, you want to see growth. You want to see change. You want to see a character become the hero. Now, of course, we could go into the nuance of that discussion too. Specifically, is she really a hero or is she an anti-hero? Now, of course, like I said, I didn't hate the movie. I didn't like it because it wasn't a good origin movie and it went canonically awry. But it was a fun movie. Something I could just sit down, eat some popcorn, or watch, What do they call those movies? Popcorn movies? And because I didn't like it, because I didn't think it was the best thing ever, I, of course, was accused of being a bigot. No, that's not true. It's a lie. I like the movie. I like the idea, and I have no problem with ladies being the lead, but because I didn't like it, people ignored the nuance. You know what I mean? The nuance as to why I don't like it. Because, yes, there are a great number of people who didn't like it. And then there are a great number of people who did like it. I cannot say for certainty that the people who did like it all liked it because they thought they were supposed to. But I have met a few people who do believe that the only reason that they liked it was because they thought they were supposed to like it. And you know how you can tell those people apart? They're the ones who didn't actually watch it. And the same with the people on the other side who didn't like it because they thought they weren't supposed to. They didn't watch it. Now, of course, that, again, nuanced argument about why they should or should not have watched it. Now, I am of the mind that you should never form an opinion about something that you haven't experienced. However, I do understand that on occasions you don't want to exhaust or spend money on something just to, not like it. So if you think you're not going to like something, then it's okay to not spend money on it. However, you cannot form an opinion about it. You can say, it doesn't look good, therefore I'm not going to. That's a perfectly acceptable answer. Saying, that movie sucks, I'm never going to watch it. not exactly a good answer because of the fact that, how do you know if you've never seen it? Nuance is a nuance is a good thing. It helps to separate a lot of things, like, for instance, green and green. They're both green, but you would not say that they are the same. The same is, yeah. This one's much lighter. This one's much darker. Therefore, the nuance is in the darkness. That's an interesting little anagram, or analogy, because oftentimes today, nuance is ignored in favor of your own opinion. Because, again, a lot of people these days look for the quick and easy answer, i.e., if that person doesn't like it, therefore they are a bad person. And instead of looking into their argument, you ignore that. You ignore the nuance. Now, of course, my friend JoJo, I haven't talked about her in a while, she is a big Marvel fan, Captain Marvel especially. She loved the movie. And when I finally got to watch it, because I was way behind on it, when I finally got to watch it, I went to her and I talked to her. And I told her all my feelings about it. And I told her that despite what people say, it is not the worst movie in the world. I didn't particularly think it was great, but, we had a discussion. We talked about it. We talked about the movie. And she saw my point. I saw her point. And I agree that, to her, it was a really good movie. She really loved it. Me, I'm a writer. I'm going to see a lot of the nuance in the story. I'm going to see a lot of the differences and the changes and whatnot. And I will be able to form an opinion based on that. And my opinion, yes, may be shaded by the fact that I understand story structure, I understand character arc, I understand all sorts of things. And I am also older, significantly older. Therefore, my tastes will be a little bit more refined. But that doesn't mean either one of us are wrong. Because, like I said in the last episode, your opinion can't be wrong. But if you state a fact masked an opinion, you're wrong. But anyway, that's all I've got for you. Remember, the devil's in the details, as it were, and the details are what's going to save us. We can't just ignore nuance in favor of our own opinion. That's all I've got for you for today. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of the Steps Basic Gaming Community Show. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, please go and poke that like button for me. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And of course, as always, you're more than welcome to leave a comment down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can, when I can, if I can, all that jazz. And tune in next time for another opinion at another time. Look for the nuance. And until then, good night.